Oh, hello. Welcome to the 2013 Hundie Challenge. Today we're going to be discussing The Big C by Miller and Seville. Dee-doo-dee-doo-doo, dee-doo-doo-doo-dee-doo-doo-doo-doo, dee-doo-dee-doo-doo, dee-doo-doo-doo-dee-doo-doo-doo. I'll be honest, I wasn't sure what to make of this book at first. For a while, maybe the first 50 pages or so, I was like, this is just junk, this is just, purely for shock value and that kind of thing. Then about midway through the book, give or take, I was like, I'm not sure whether this guy is brilliant or he's just a lunatic. And then at the end, I decided, yes, this guy is clearly brilliant. I was sort of, in a half-assed way, reminded of Finnegan's Wake. I'm sure once I get to the other Joyce, the ones that are more comprehensible, I'll find it more like that. It's definitely got a stream of consciousness feel to it, but there's also, characters and story, and it progresses, and it makes a little bit of sense. It's not linear. He goes back and forth between, most of the story takes place in Paris. But sometimes he remembers stuff he was doing in New York, and, sometimes he moves on to Dijon and things like that. But it's mostly the shock value that you're going to notice. And I was only really aware of Tropic of Cancer for its shock value, and I think only in that case probably from Seinfeld. So being as that was the 90s when I heard about it, and as it turns out, the book was written in the 60s, I thought it was going to be relatively tame. Sort of like how everyone got all up in arms, supposedly, I don't even know if this is true or apocryphal, but supposedly in 1939, when Gone with the Wind came out, it was a big deal that, what's his name? The main guy said, damn, at the end. I'm going to get all the emails for that. You don't know who the guy... Was it Gary Cooper? Or Clark Gable. There you go. You can hold on to your emails now. I remembered who it was. But supposedly when Clark Gable said, I don't give a damn at the end of Gone with the Wind, it was a big deal. So I thought it was going to be something comparable to that. Like, whatever was shocking for the 60s can't possibly be all that shocking for today. Quite the contrary. There was still a couple of times where I was like, wow, this guy has a potty mouth. And you can probably already tell if you've seen even one or two of my other videos. I don't mind dropping the old F-bombs and stuff. But there is a word that begins with C that occurs per capita in this book, probably more than I've ever said it in my entire life, because it's all primarily about the beautiful female vagina, but he does not particularly respect the vagina, and has very strong feelings about how women should be objectified, or more accurately, how he just pretty much considers women to be objects. That's kind of a running theme throughout the book. So why a work of genius, did I decide it at the end, if it's also very clearly, meant to be titillating and, could easily be mistaken for pulp or trash. He gets very philosophical, and I guess it's there throughout the book, but I didn't really start to pick up on it towards the end. And he starts saying some really profound things, like I was saying before, like Joycean profound, but still made sense, still, flowed and went along with the narrative, and he wasn't just saying nonsense because it was, philologically interesting to say nonsense. He made a lot of really compelling points. Really, a lot of it was kind of like tearing down society, and to some extent it was about comparing European and American culture. He made a lot of points about that. Stuff about how, how it's... I guess he said something like it's easy to be famous and important in America, and in Europe, everyone is a peasant. So if you happen to become famous or important, it's kind of like by luck. He had a lot of really strong feelings about the differences between the two cultures across the pond. It was a pretty good book. It was slow starting, and make sure that you are not worried about your ears burning, because it is very foul, very explicit. But overall, I'm glad I read it, partly because of its reputation, and partly because it, to some extent lived up to that reputation. So, pretty good book. Solid B. I guess I'm going to, maybe instead of getting emails about the Clark Gable thing, I'm going to start getting emails about how you didn't recognize the genius of Henry Miller. Well, it was good. It was good. He had a lot of really interesting points, but not really exactly my cup of tea. So, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.